Her shared note ticked off Suite 318. The ping sounded like help and wasn't. I was at the warehouse persuading a pallet to admit gravity is real when my phone flashed a banner from the Yellow Notes app I never remembered agreeing to. Myra updated shared checklist. The preview showed a neat little tick box sliding left to right. Under it, the line she just checked off. Suite 318, spare toothbrush. The human brain is a dog you didn't train. It fetched the rest before I could say no. Sweet. 3 letters and 3 numbers that had been practicing in the wings of my life. I tapped. The note opened to a tidy packing list with a title that didn't apologize. Lisbon maybe/Meridian if not. Checkboxes smiled up like little permissions. Silk blouse, chargers night oil, black dress decide later. 2 toothbrushes, 1 travel, 1 extra. Under to do, a line I could have read from orbit. Tell Alex tomorrow. Below that, a second column. It had been added recently. The app told me so with its prim time stamp. After, delete photos/return keycard/wash hair twice. The last line was the only one empty. The checkbox next to return key card had a tick like a closing door. I stared until the words lost their edges. The note was shared with exactly 2 people, Myra and me. The little circle with my initials glowed next to a green line that meant viewed. The app had been proud to inform us both about our teamwork. I put my phone in my pocket and walked outside, not because I needed air, but because rage prefers witnesses that don't have names. The loading dock performed silence like a skill. It accepted me without asking questions. My foreman yelled something about boxes. I waved in the language of later and drove home with the careful speed of a man auditioning to be forgiven by nothing mechanical. The apartment smelled like oranges that had decided to be interesting, and the particular tiredness of evening fabric. The basil lobbied for attention from its pot. On the counter sat an overnight bag with a zipper that acts like a secret second mouth. Myra's coats were arranged on the back of a chair the way women prepare for sincerity, orderly and kind. She was at the table tying her hair into the ugly clip I love because it makes her look like she forgot to armor up. The note I had no interest in had updated itself again. My screen lit with another tick. Nail file packed. Our list says you're going to Lisbon, I said, keeping my voice in the room where manners live. She looked up, read the truth off my face like a headline, and didn't pretend illiteracy. I made 2 possibilities, she said, because that is what we do when we want the world to pick for us. It looks like the closer one wins. The Meridian, I said. Suite 318, toothbrushes. She reached for the bag, then let her hand fall. I didn't want to pack like a teenager in a bathroom, she said. I wanted the list to exist so I couldn't later pretend it didn't. So we're collaborating, I said. I'm glad to know my contribution is viewed. On the table lay another rectangle of truth, a key card nestling in the shallow dish where we abandon coins and the backs of earrings. The gold logo reflected the dumb lamp. The number on its face was not a number. It was a prediction. I don't want to be bored here, she said, not wasting any of our remaining clean minutes. I am tired of waiting to want you until everything is perfect. I am tired of training my hunger to behave while the Note app applauds my errands. 21 days, I said, because my courage refuses to learn a new number. 3 weeks where we delete every list that writes us out of our own house. No more shared logistics for rooms that don't pay our bills. No, tell Alex tomorrow. You tell him now or you tell him never. If at the end you still need a list with a foreign city at the top and a room number like a rehearsal, I will carry your bag. But you won't be able to say I didn't offer you the mess right here. She half smiled in the way hope tries to remember its lines. "And what do you put on my list?" she asked. "Because I am not carrying only your rules." "Now," I said. "I bring now like groceries. I stop saving appetite for the weekend, for mirrors, for a story. I refuse to be interesting after the dishes. I will be an interruption." She leaned back, breath doing that small, old work I know. "Do you want me now?" she asked, no theater. "Yes," I said, and the room rewarded us for picking something. We kissed by the stupid lamp, and I learned again which angle of her jaw makes language embarrassed. She tasted like oranges and something that had been waiting to be let out of its spine. My hand found the warm geography under her shirt that no app will ever correctly tag. It wasn't acrobatic. It was specific. A checkbox you don't get to mark but feel click under your skin. We stopped before we made a religion of it. In the kitchen, she filled a glass and didn't drink, the way people who are thinking forget what mouths are for. I set my phone down beside the key card. The note was still open on the screen, little squares waiting to be told they matter. "I'm deleting it," I said. "Not because I want you to be unprepared, because I want the preparation to happen here." She reached across the table and touched the space between my thumb and forefinger, a place that does nothing and everything. "Then delete it," she said. I held my thumb on the title until the menu revealed the only spell it knows: delete. The app asked me if I was sure in the tone of voice people use when they hope you'll disappoint them. "Yes," I said. The list vanished the way paper used to burn, completely and with a smell. The key card didn't flinch. No object is obligated to learn humility. That's for us. The practice that followed was bizarre and holy. No lists for rooms not ours. No shared notes that perform bravery in bullet points. No later unless we pick an hour and defend it. If jealousy knocks, it carries in groceries or waits on the landing. Day one I failed and corrected. She sent me a photo of the elevator mirror, hair hostage to that clip, mouth doing what it has always done to my insistence on narrative, captioned with the monosyllable that is saving our life. Now. My thumbs wrote 15. I deleted the lie and wrote coming. We met in our doorway and used it as furniture. The neighbor's baby had opinions. The building minded its own old secrets. Day two, I found another list in the family notes I'd forgotten existed. Things we need: patience, limes, decent sheets. I crossed out the first and bought the second. That night we shook our own drinks like a dare and fell into the third on purpose. The sheets forgave us for being people. Day three, she texted Roman a paragraph I didn't ask to read. I could tell by the shape of her mouth after that it included gratitude and a request for silence, which is to say a kind of adult cruelty. He answered with one line she showed me: "Return the key card whenever the story is finished." She put it in the dish, and we left the house for a walk because walking is the only accurate reply to certain sentences. We went down to the river where the city teaches itself stubbornness, and we watched a couple practice breaking up in slow motion. She took my hand in a way that said, "Don't do that to me," and I squeezed in a way that said, "Then stop making me audition." When we got home, I held the key card like it might melt, and then slid it back beside coins that will never be exact. Day four, Dasha invited us to a pop-up lecture, Domesticity Without Resentment. I told her we were hosting a workshop called Kissing, Then Dishes. She sent a lemon and a knife emoji, which I assume was endorsement. Day five, my mother asked whether we wanted the big pot with the chip on the rim because she'd stopped using it. I said yes, because love is sometimes the bravery of admitting a chip makes you cook better. We took it home on the tram like a small old person we promised not to drop. Day seven, we fought about a towel, which is our code word for control. I accused her of taking my side of the bed with a seventh pillow we didn't need. She accused me of putting my phone between us at the exact moment it should have been my mouth. We stopped mid-sentence like adults who want to be younger and kissed, until the fight left the room out of embarrassment. Day 8, the hotel app sent a "We miss you" email because the world insists on believing you own it attention. I filed it under newsletters and then moved newsletters into trash. I returned the key card to the front desk of the Meridian with a paper cup of water and a sentence: "Trade." The clerk smiled the way people who never forget do. I walked out lighter without deserving to. Day 10, we took our big chipped pot and made soup like a ceremony. We cut garlic too thick and left it anyway because sometimes lawlessness is the point. She came up behind me and put her palms on my hips, and I forgot what the timer was supposed to be for. We ate standing up with our spoons because chairs are for people trying to pass inspections. Day 11, Roman jogged past our building like a man who had decided air might hate him less if he learned manners. He raised two fingers in a salute that could have been a truce. I raised my chin a millimeter. It was the appropriate amount of history. Day 12, the app tried to sell me shared grocery list, romantic weekend, and I complained to a machine with more sincerity than it deserved. "Stop sending rooms to my kitchen," I wrote in the feedback field like a man inventing policy. The submit button accepted my grief like a credit card. Day 14, we lay on the floor and looked at the ceiling and spoke out loud the dull nouns that make a house harder to lose: plaster, paint, bulb, socket, rug. Then she rolled toward me and said now, and we didn't waste the electricity. Day 16, we did a dangerous thing. We made a new list. Not shared, paper, torn from the notebook we keep for receipts and psychias. It said, "Things we will stop waiting for." Her handwriting made kiss in hallway look important. Mine wrote "say want while wanting." We taped it on the inside of a cabinet door with our dumb magnets because the refrigerator deserves a break. Day 19, we carried the big pot to my mother and returned it clean like decent thieves. She fed us too much because grief knows how to cook. On the way home, Myra put her head against the tram window and watched the city pretend to be a film, and then turned and asked me if my mouth knew where we were. It said yes. We kissed in that public, unremarkable way that makes decent people envy you without remembering why. On day 21, nothing demanded speeches. She came in smelling like rain that had decided not to arrive and put her bag on the chair in a way that means the house is being claimed. "Do you still want me now?" she asked. "Always," I said in the tone of a man who knows always is a subscription and not a wish. We kissed, specific. We made food on purpose and left the kitchen soft. We threw away no lists that made sense. We did not ask the note app to clap. A week later, a padded envelope arrived with no return address. Inside, a package of those little round stickers people use to mark pages in books and a note in careful handwriting. "For choosing," it said. No signature. I numbered the stickers 1 to 21, stuck them along the inside of the cabinet door beside our new list like a calendar we could both steal from, and kissed my wife against the hinged wood because rooms deserve to know what they're sheltering. Sometimes my phone still tries to be a person. "Make your next list together," it suggests, as if collaboration were how a kiss begins. I let the notification sit there like a stray, and then swipe it away with that small guilt that belongs to kindness I cannot use. When we need to remember something, we say it out loud or write it where soup lives. When we need to forget something, we delete it and then go looking for each other in a hallway that has always been cheaper than a suite. If you want a rule your apps can obey, unshare the places that don't feed you, rename the ones that do. Stop letting bullet points become alibis. If you want the worse, better rule that makes rooms survive people, Say now while the water is still hot. Say later, only when you have scheduled repair. Say always when you're prepared to carry pots, not just promises. Last night before bed, she reached into the dish where the key card had rested like an idea and found nothing except coins and a button that didn't belong to anything anymore. She lifted the empty air between her fingers and smiled. "Check," she said. Then she came to me in the doorway with her hands already learning what to do, and no list on any phone congratulated us. And the lamp did its ugly decent work, and the basil continued its political career without us. And somewhere an app decided we were unproductive, and I kissed my wife like the only item we would ever need to cross off was to be here at the same time.